عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. Last lesson we were going over the makharij. In lesson 2 we were going over the makharij. Now who can remember what does makharij mean itself? What does makharij mean? The place of exit. So makharij referring to the places of exit of each letter. And last lesson I wanted to clarify something. There was a bit of a mix-up in regards to the letters ba and mim. Okay, the letters ba and mim. On the sheets and even on the slide we wrote that the makhraj of ba is when the wetness, when the inner parts of the lips meet. That's the correct makhraj. Okay, because in the lesson we were getting muddled up. Okay, the way to know the correct makhraj of a letter is you read that letter with a sukoon and you read like a alif, you read a alif fatha before it. So for example, when we say the letter af, if we say af, we can see when we say af, our the makhraj for the fa is when our teeth, our front two teeth are on the middle part of the lip. Af. So that's how we find the makhraj of fa. When you want to find the makhraj of when you want to find the makhraj of another letter, so let's say for example sheen, okay, when you say ash, you add the alif fatha before it and you read the sheen with a sukoon. So that's how you find the makhraj. Now last lesson as well we were getting muddled up with the ba makhraj and the mim makhraj. Now just to clarify, ba, the makhraj of ba is when the inner portion, the inner part, the wet part of the lips meet. That's the makhraj of ba. Okay, ba. Everyone say it, ba. And when you say the makhraj of mim, you can actually see the lips are more closed. Mim. So the makhraj of mim is when the dry parts of the lips meet. Mim. Okay, mim. So one is ba and the other one is mim. Can you see how for mim the lips are more closed? Okay, last lesson we said the opposite by accident. My mistake. But I wanted to clarify that. So that it's written correctly on the sheet. Yeah, the sheet was right. We were wrong. The sheet was right, inshallah. If you did change it, it's okay. I can give you a new sheet, inshallah. Or if you haven't changed it, then alhamdulillah. Okay. So now, inshallah, starting with lesson 3, we have, and we will now be looking at the sifat. In English, sifat means qualities. If you remember, what does tajweed mean? Tajweed means to read every letter correctly from its makhraj and its qualities. So to read every letter correctly from its makhraj and with its qualities. Now inshallah we're going to look at the first set of qualities, and the Arabic for qualities is sifat, the singular is sifat. And inshallah we're going to start lesson 3 with the sifat of isti'la. Okay, the sifat of isti'la. Everyone say with me, isti'la. Okay, now we've actually been going over this quality, isti'la. I've just been giving you the easier translation for it. All this time I've been telling you about heavy letters. I've been telling you about smiley letters. Now isti'la refers to the heavy letters. It's the Arabic term referring to the heavy letters. The sifat, the quality of isti'la. Now what is this quality of isti'la? It's when pronounced, when these letters are pronounced, what happens is the major portion of the tongue, what happens is it causes the tongue from the back to rise towards the palate. And when the tongue rises towards the palate, that's what creates that heaviness in the letter. That's what creates that fullness, that full mouth in the letter. So, and this quality in Arabic, in Tajweed, is known as isti'la. Okay? And the 7 letters of isti'la are kha, everyone say with me, kha, sad, dad, ghain, ta, qaf, and dha. So you can notice I'm reading all of these letters full mouth, okay? When these letters are pronounced, they'll be pronounced with a full mouth. Okay, so everyone say it again with me. Kha, Sad, Dad, Ghain, Ta, Qaf, and Va. Remember, Va, the tongue needs to be out. So Va. Again, Va. Remember, this is a tongue biting letter. So bring the tongue out. Va. Okay. Now these letters, these 7 letters we can see on the board, they are known as the letters of isti'la. Did you have a question, uncle?
Yeah, the last letter. It is, you said Va, is it Va?
So see, we mentioned that this letter is Va. Va. It's a very common mistake that a lot of us will read this letter with our tongue inside. Okay, but this letter is one of the 3 tongue biting letters. The 3 tongue biting letters, very common amongst Indians, Bangladeshis, Pakistanis. We read these 3 letters like is alif ba ta tha. We'll say alif ba ta sa. Is tha. Alif ba ta tha. The other one, dal dal. We will say dal zal. It's dal dal. And then we'll say toy zoi. It's not toy zoi, it's ta va. Ta va. So if you notice, the tongue needs to be out when you read this last letter, okay? Va. Tongue, bring it out. Va. Okay? Va. Okay, Adam, I got one sheet here if you wanted to use. Just got one. I can print another one inshallah later. Is that okay? Okay. If you can, it's a... So this letter is Va. Remember, bring the tongue out. Va. Okay? And easy way to remember, these 3 letters, they're known as well, I like to call them the tongue biting letters because you're biting your tongue. Va. Va. Okay? And even when you look at the makhraj is the tip, the edge of the front 2 teeth, when they touch the tongue. They're touching the tongue. Va. Va. Okay, so this letter Va. So these were the 7 letters, and they are known as the letters of isti'la. They're known as the letters which have this quality, this sifat known as isti'la. And you can even call them these letters are called musta'liya. They're known as the musta'liya letters. Okay, musta'liya letters. Okay, and in English we refer to them as the full mouth letters. The full mouth letters or the heavy letters. Now what we're going to do, inshallah, we're going to go over some examples together. Some examples that actually come in the Quran. Okay, we're going to go through every single one, inshallah. Now if you look, they're not on the sheet, they're on the board. So if you look at the board, inshallah, the first one we have this kha with a sukoon. In the first example, right at the top, you have the kha, a sukoon. Even when the kha has a sukoon, even when these letters have a sukoon, you need to read them with a full mouth, with this quality of isti'la. So listen first, inshallah. The way we're going to read it is ikhraja. Everyone read it after me. Ikhraja. Yeah, one more time. Ikhraja. Okay, I can notice one thing. I noticed that, remember if you see in your papers as well, that only these letters are the 7 full mouth letters. But when I can hear, mashallah, you reading it, or I can hear this. Ikhraja. Who can tell me the mistake in there?
Jim is heavy as well.
Jim, you've made the jim heavy, which is wrong. Jim should not be heavy. Jim should be smiley. So we don't want to say ikhraja. 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 Do you understand? So everyone say again after me. Everyone say after me. Ikhraja. Lovely, well done, mashallah. One more time. Ikhraja. Yes. Remember, only this letter of kha. Only make the kha full mouth. Only make this kha with this quality of isti'la. Okay? Now the next example, do you have a question? The ra, we're going to come to it later, inshallah. In this example, ra is full mouth. Ra will be read heavy. But if you remember, ra is in both. Ra is read full mouth and is also read empty mouth. But when we look at the qualities of, when you look at this sifat of isti'la, then we only associate the 7 letters that I've mentioned. The kha, sad, dad, ghain, ta, qaf and dha. These are the permanent 7 letters of isti'la. Okay? Now in this example, yes, ra you do read full mouth, but we're going to learn the rules of ra next lesson inshallah, and there's a lot of rules when it comes to ra, but we're going to leave it for now inshallah. Just know that these 7 letters, whatever they have, whether it be a sukoon, whether it be a fatha, or you can call zabar, whether it be a kasra or zair or a dhamma or pesh, it will always be full. So again, first example, the kha has a sukoon. Let's read it again. Ikhraja. Good, mashallah. Remember, jim, ja, make it smiley, ja. Okay. The next example, we have the kha with a kasra, or you can say the kha with a zair. Now, a zair, a kasra is actually, it's the hardest vowel to read a letter full mouth, because a zair, a kasra, automatically takes your mouth to that smiling position. But when you read it, we need to make sure we don't smile when you read the kha, kasra. So when we say this, we don't want to say yakhir, we say yakhir, yakhir. Notice how I'm not smiling. I'm not saying yakhir, yakhir. So when we look at this one, yakhiruna. Well done, mashallah. Again, yakhiruna. One more time, remember, making sure that kha is full. Don't say yakhir, yakhir, yakhir. Again, yakhiruna. I want everyone to say after me. So, yakhiruna. Yes. So remember, kasra is the hardest letter, it's the hardest vowel to, out of all 3, it's the hardest to make sure you're reading at full mouth. The other 2, fatha and dhamma, are very easy. So when you look at the next one, kha has a fatha. This word, I want you to all read after me. Khabir. Again, really make that kha full. Khabir. Good. Yes, mashallah. The next one we have again the kha with a sukoon. Akhraja. Again, akhraja. Good. These were examples with kha. Now let's look at the next line. We have example with sad. Okay. Here we have sad with a kasra. And remember, like I said, kasra is the hardest vowel to make full. So we don't want to say yasi, yasi. Notice how, if you look at my mouth, I'm not smiling. I'm not saying yasi, yasi. Literally my mouth drops down. Yasi. So this word, yasiluna. Again, yasiluna. Good. The next one, the sad has a sukoon. So we're going to say aslaha. Good. Remember, sad, make it full. Aslaha. And what you need to remember is, you don't want, when you're making the sad full, we don't want to make what's after it full as well. So we don't want to say as-salaha. We don't want to say as-salaha. We say as-laha. Notice how I quickly go to that smiling position for the lam, because the lam is not a letter of isti'la. Lam is not a full mouth letter. Only the sad should be full mouth. So again, as-laha. Good, mashallah. The next one, the sad has a fatha. So this one is saluha. Again, saluha. The next one you have is the sad has a sukoon. So muslihuna. And remember this letter sad, if you remember the makhraj that we went over last lesson, the makhraj of sad is when the tongue is flat in the mouth, the tongue is flat touching the roots of the back of the front bottom teeth. So when we say the sad, we say mus. We don't say mus. Muslihuna. And can you make that sad muslihuna? Because we haven't come across this quality yet, but sad has a quality known as safir, which is a whistling sound. So when we say sad, if we're not making that whistling sound, then we're not reading the quality, we're not reading it properly. We don't want to say mus. So muslihuna. Again, muslihuna. Okay, so this was the letter sad. Now the third letter we have is dad. And if you remember dad, the makhraj, when the tongue is curved up one side, yes, like that, mubashshara bhai, mashallah. The tongue is, you don't want to be reading like that. The tongue is curved up on one side and is touching the roots of the back teeth. So dad, dad. So this dad has a kasra. So yadillu. Again, yadillu. Good. The next one, dad has a dhamma. Yadurruna. Remember, make that dad full. Yadurruna. Next one, the dad has a sukoon. Listen to the fullness of this letter dad, because you know dad even has another quality. We're going to come across it later, inshallah. But just listen to how fat and how full it sounds. Yad, yadribuna. Again, yadribuna. And the next one you have dad with a fatha, da'ufa. Really make it strong, make it full mouth, make it heavy. Da'ufa. Good. Now the next letter we have is ghain. Okay, ghain. In this example we have ghain with a sukoon. So mag, mag. We don't want to say mag. Look at me. If we say mag, we're making the ghain smiley. We don't say mag, mag, mag. So maghfirah. Remember, make the meme smiley. But then when you go to the ghain, make it full. So maghfirah. Good. The next one, the ghain has a dhamma. Faghulibu. Faghulibu. The next one, the ghain has a kasra, and like I've said already, kasra, it's the hardest vowel to make full. So we don't want to say ghil, we want to say ghil. Don't smile. Ghil. Ghilman. Again. Ghilman. Good. And the next one, ghain fatha, ghadiba. Again, ghadiba. If you notice in this word, the ghain is full and even the dad is full. And what about the ba? Is the ba going to be full as well? No. Okay, so again, ghadiba. Good. The next example, the ta. Ta has a kasra, or you can call it zer. So we're not going to say tib, tib. Notice how I'm not smiling. If I smile and say tib, it's wrong. It's not tib, it's tib, tib. So tibtum. Again, tibtum. Good. Next one, the ta has a dhamma. Yatufu. Again, yatufu. The next one, the ta has a sukoon. At'amahu. Remember that the hamza that we have before the ta, the hamza is going to be smiley. So we're not going to say at, we're going to say at. At. Notice how I go from smile to not smile. At'amahu. Well, and the next one, the ta has a fatha. So taba'a. Sorry. Taba'a. Good. The next example we have is qaf. Okay. The next line we have is qaf. Qaf with the dhamma. Qur'ana. Again. Qur'ana. Remember, the hamza that has the mud on it, make it smile. Don't say Qur'an. Qur'ana. Yes. The next one, the qaf has a sukoon. Taq. Notice how the ta is smiley. Taq. We're not going to say taq. 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 So taqdir. The next one. Fawqa. Remember, fa smiley. Fawqa. Good. The next one, qaf kasra. Like I said, kasra. Make sure you're practicing that kasra properly when it comes to full mouth letters. We don't want to say qital, qi. Not qi, qi. Qitala. Again, the ta needs to be smiley. Qitala. Remember, ta smiley, okay? It's very hard when it comes to the transition between a full mouth letter immediately if you have a smiley letter, if you have an empty mouth letter. So the qi, not qi, qitala. So qitala. Yes. And the last line we have is dha. We have dha. The examples of, so dha, here we have dha with a pesh. So dhufru. Remember this dha, tongue needs to be out. You need to be biting your tongue. Dhufru. Good. The next one, yudhiru. The next one, dha kasra, dhil. Not dhil. Don't say dhil. Otherwise you're not reading this quality of isti'la. It's dhil. So, dhillan. Dhillan. And the last one example you have is dhaluma. Again, dhaluma. So these are all examples of the full mouth letters, of the letters of isti'la, whether they have a dam, whether kasra, or whether they be read with this full mouth. And remember it is when you read letters, do not smile. Okay, when you read these letters, do not smile. And an easy way, a very easy way to remember these. Khussa, you can see the letters, khasad, khussa, daghtin, dad, ghain, ta. And the last two, qid, qaf, dha. So if you remember this, khussa, daghtin, qid. So if you remember this, then automatically you will know the 7 letters of isti'la. The 7 letters of isti'la. Khussa, daghtin, qid. This was the sifat of isti'la. Now, just how isti'la was for the full mouth letters, istifal is for the empty mouth letters, or in other words, the smiley letters. Now, these letters are pronounced. Just how in isti'la, the tongue would, from the major portion of the tongue will go towards the palate. With istifal, the major portion of the tongue will not go towards the palate, but it will stay flat, it will stay down. So when present of the tongue from the back will not rise towards istilah, the heavy letters, and istifal you can call the smiley letters. Easier way to remember it. And what are these letters? So I'm just going to say them quickly for us. There's ba, ta, tha, jim, ha. Notice how I'm smiling, all of them. Ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, dal, dhal, za, sin, sheen. Then there's ain, fa, kaf, lam, mim, noon, ha, waw, hamza, and ya. Okay. Now these are the letters of istifal. Okay. These are the letters of istifal. And when these letters will be pronounced, they'll be pronounced with an empty mouth. Remember, isti'la was full mouth. Isti'la was full mouth. When you, like for example, kha, it sounds full, it sounds strong, kha. But istifal is empty mouth. Ba, nice and easy, with a smile. Ba, not ba, ba, ba. Yeah, really open your mouth. Ba. Okay, so this is the quality, this is the sifat of istifal. So these are the first 2 sifats that we've come across. The sifat of isti'la and the qualities. So what it means, opposing, if they're in one group, they're not going to be in the other group, okay? And in Arabic is known as mutadada, which means opposing, okay? A lot of the qualities in Arabic, you have mutadada and ghayra mutadada, which means you have qualities which are opposing and you have qualities which are not opposing. So there's no opposite to some qualities. But to qualities, then you're not going to be there. I never mentioned alif, did I? I never mentioned alif in isti'la. So we're going to come up in the next slide in the very soon, inshallah. So now that we've seen, let's go through some examples, inshallah. The whole purpose of going through examples, the best way to learn is to go through examples. So if it's first word, okay, we have the ba, which is fatha. We even have the ya, which is fatha, and we even have the noon. I haven't written the zabar zair pesh, but inshallah, it's just to save me time. So the ba is fatha, the ya is fatha, and the noon is fatha. So when we say it, we're going to say, read after me, bayana. How it's so, the mouth is empty, so easy. Your mouth is smiling. Again, bayana. Sukun, the lam will have a fatha and the mim will have a dhamma, and the noon will have a fatha. Every single letter in this word they're all empty mouth letters. They're all letters of istifal. So it's going to be read easily. Ta'lamuna. Remember, we don't want to say ta. Ta'lamuna. The next tha with the dhamma, even though it's got a nice and smile again. Fidya. Okay. Next one, the kaf has a sukoon, so akwab. Even this wow it's got a fatha. It's going to be read smiley. Akwab. Al-layl, but al-layl. You can hear the difference. One sounds ridiculous and the other one sounds beautiful. Al-layl. Al-layl. See? The next one, masghaba. Now if you noticed, this word, meme smiley, meme empty mouth, seen empty mouth. Then ghain you have full mouth. You have a heavy letter in the middle. And then the ba, you go back to smiley. So we need to know how to, switch on and off between the two. So when we say this word, listen very carefully. Masghaba. And we don't want to say mas, not mas, mas. Masghaba. Good. So mas is going to be smiley. The thing I've learned, that when you come across these kind of words in the Quran, read them slowly first. Break them down. So for example, we'll say masghaba. Masghaba. Then when you say quicker, then it becomes easier. Masghaba. Again, masghaba. And make sure you're reading the ghain strong though, okay? The ghain should be heavy. Again, masghaba. Good. The next one, noon, dhamma, nice and easy. Noor. Again, noor. The next example, waw has a fatha, wail. The next one, ha has a dhamma, humaza. So even in that word, the meme will be smiley, the meme will be empty mouth, and the za will be empty mouth. Again, humaza. The next one, we have a hamza. Remember, it's not called alif, it's called a hamza. Because when alif has a fatha, it's actually a hamza. Do you understand? So we have hamza with a fatha, we have ba with a fatha, and even afterwards, ba with a kasra. So, ababil. Again, ababil. Example, we have ya with, again, yurasilu. So these were examples of the letters of isti'la, the quality of istifal. Okay, the quality of istifal. These letters will be read all empty mouth. All these letters will be read empty mouth and with a smile. And this quality in Arabic is known as istifal. You've got it written inshallah on your sheets. Istifal. And the opposing quality which we did before was known as isti'la. Isti'la. Okay, and this was istifal. And if you remember, I mentioned which letter has been missing from the group. The first letter, which was alif. Now we're going to look at the rule of alif right now, inshallah. The rule of alif. Now what is the rule of alif? Very simple. Very simple. Alif just copies the letter before. So if the letter before is a letter of isti'la, then the alif will also be read how? Heavy mouth. It's also going to be read full mouth. So remember, alif is just going to copy the letter before. And if you remember, alif only comes after when you read an alif, because if you remember, I mentioned about the makhraj of alif, the emptiness of the mouth. The emptiness of the mouth. And alif is pronounced when what sign comes before it? What vowel? Fatha. Do you remember? Alif is only pronounced, alif is stretched when there's a fatha before it. Okay? Alif will never be pronounced when there's a dhamma before it. You can never read an alif if there's a dhamma before it. Or you can never read an alif if there's a kasra before it. You only read an alif, meaning you only stretch an alif when there's a fatha before it. Okay? So when the letters of isti'la, when they have a fatha and there's an alif after it, then the letters of isti'la will be full mouth and the alif will also be read full mouth. And these are just all muds. These are all basically all the examples that we're going to read right now they're all examples of mud, all examples of stretches. So if you look on the board, inshallah, if you look on the board, we have kha, which is the first letter of isti'la, yeah? Kha we have with a fatha, and we have alif after it. So when you read this, we're going to say, yakhafu. So you know that we've made now. That stretch that we've made, that stretch we made is because of the alif. And the alif stretch is going to be read full mouth as well. Why? Because of the kha. Do you understand? So again, yakhafu. So can you see now, the alif is heavy as well, isn't it? The alif is heavy because of the kha. And one more time, yakhafu. Next example, we have sad with a fatha, and there's an alif before it. So sad, qaf we have with a kasr. We need to make sure we read it full as well. So one more time, sadiqina. The next example, the dad has a fatha and there's a alif after it. So yuda'ifuha. Again, one more time, yuda'ifuha. Uncle, make your dad more heavy. With a alif after it, bighafilin. Again, bighafilin. Examples we come so far, we've come across isti'la, we've come across a full mouth letter with a fatha and the alif after it, so the alif is also going to be full mouth. The next example, yutafu. Again, yutafu. The next one, yuqatiluna. Again, yuqatiluna. And the next one, zahiru. Remember, tongue out for the dha. Zahiru. That we found a letter of isti'la. When there's an alif after it, the alif will also be heavy. Now, the case will be if there's a letter of istifal before it. The alif is going to be? It's going to be empty mouth, it's going to be light mouth, it's going to be smiley. So if there's a letter of istifal before an alif, then the alif will also be read as empty mouth and with a smile. And it's very easy when you, exactly Mubashir, yes, lovely smile. Huh? You should start interviewing for some dentists, inshallah. Huh? So when you look at these examples, we have the first one, we have ba with a fatha. With the alif. What's happened? The alif has become now? It's smiley as well, isn't it? It's smiley because of the ba fatha before it. And remember, alif is only pronounced when there's a fatha before it. So tabaraka. Again, tabaraka. The next example, jaluta. Again, jaluta. The next example, we have ha. Okay, ha, a lot of people think ha is a strong letter. Remember, ha is not a strong letter. Ha is spicy ha. Yeah, it's had too much curry. It's a spicy ha. So you haribuna. The next one, you have dhal fatha with the alif after it. Dhakirina. Again, dhakirina. The next example, sin fatha with the alif after it. Asatiru. One more time. Asati. The next one, sheen fatha with the alif after it. Sharibina. One more time. Sharibina. The next example, ayn. Ayn is another empty mouth letter. Some people think this is a full mouth. It's not. Ayn is an empty mouth, okay? So, asifah. Remember, a, and then the sad is strong. So, asif. Good. Da fatha with the alif after it. Kafura. Remember, the kaf needs to be smiley, okay? Kaf, not ka. Kafu. Really stretch open your mouth. Kafura. We have mim fatha with the alif after it. Namariqu. Again, namariqu. And the next one you have waw fatha with the alif after it. Sawa'u. Again, remember this waw, we don't want to say sava. There's no va in Arabic, okay? There's no such thing as Because a lot of times you leave students when they read the letter wow, they'll say wow, wow, wow. If you remember, yes, wow. So sawa. Okay, so in all of these examples, when there's a letter of istifal before the alif, then the alif will also be empty mouth. It will be light. It will be with a smile, inshallah. So this was the rule of alif. If there's a la letter, it will be heavy. And if there's a istifal letter before, it will be smiley, inshallah. Now we're going to finish with this, inshallah, before we stop, inshallah. Now, one thing I wanted to do and go over last rule of both the lams in the name of Allah. Now, generally, this letter lam, what is it? Is it empty mouth or is it full mouth? Do we say lam or do we say lam? We say lam is empty mouth, yeah? So remember this, lam generally, whatever word you find lam in, it will be empty mouth. But in the name of Allah, which has two lams, what is the rule? Because it's as well, inshallah. Now, if we look at it, if the word Allah, if Allah's name comes after, it's preceded by a fatha or a dhamma, if it comes after a zabar or pesh, even on your sheets, if you look at subhanaka, in this word subhanaka, kaf has a fatha, and straight after we have Allah's name. Allahumma is also Allah's name. So after subhanaka, we have Allah, we have Allah's name. So there's a fatha before Allah's name. How are we going to read Allah? Are we going to read it full or are we going to read it empty? Full mouth. So everyone read after me. Subhanallah. And then Allah's name. What sign for you? Note something when we say this example. Because very common mistake. In this rule, we are only talking about which letters? We are only talking about the lams. No. We are only talking about the lams. We're not talking about the ha. Because a very common mistake, people end up reading it like this. وَاذْكُرُوا They read the ha full as well, which is wrong. This ha will always be smiley. So now this ha, read after me. وَاذْكُرُوا We don't want to say وَاذْكُرُوا Make sure you don't say that. وَاذْكُرُوا Yeah, excellent. So this was the first rule of the Allah's name is going to be read with an empty mouth. So let's look quickly at these three examples. With kul, the lam as a kasra. So we're going to say Kulillahumma. If you notice in the first example, if there's a kasra, fatha, dhamma before it, then it fits into place. Again, the lam as a kalam, open your mouth, smile and say, has a fatha, there's an alif after it, so this alif is also going to be full mouth. And then we have a ta kasra, so how is Allah going to be read? Empty mouth. So mardatillahi.